The massive holographic projection filled the sky above every major city on Earth. Billions of humans stood frozen, staring upward at the alien figure that towered above their tallest buildings. The being had gray skin, multiple eyes, and wore elaborate robes decorated with symbols of power. "People of Earth," the alien's voice boomed in perfect English, translated simultaneously into all Earth languages. "I am High Counselor Reed of the Galactic Council. Your planet has been observed for centuries, and we have deemed you unworthy of independent status. You have 30 Earth days to submit to Council rule or face complete extinction." In the Pentagon's underground command center, military leaders from around the world gathered in emergency session. The room buzzed with tension as satellite data streamed across massive screens, showing previously undetected alien warships positioning themselves throughout the solar system. "They've been here all along," General Thompson said, his weathered face grave as he pointed to the tactical display. "Hiding behind Mars, in Jupiter's shadow, even in the asteroid belt. We're surrounded." Defense Minister Lee slammed his fist on the table. "How did we miss this? Our deep space monitoring should have detected them." A quiet voice spoke from the back of the room. "We didn't miss them. We've known about them for 50 years. All heads turned to see Admiral White step out of the shadows. The old man walked with a slight limp, his white hair contrasting sharply with his dark uniform. Despite being officially retired for a decade, he still carried himself with unmistakable authority. "What do you mean, we knew?" General Thompson demanded. Admiral White pulled out an old keycard and inserted it into a hidden slot in the wall. The room's lights flickered, and a new holographic display sprang to life, showing a vast network of defensive installations throughout the solar system. "In 1972, we detected their first scouts," White explained. "Instead of announcing our discovery, a decision was made at the highest levels. We would play dumb, act primitive, all while building our real defense network in absolute secrecy." The room erupted in confusion. Minister Lee stepped forward. "That's impossible. The budget couldn't have hidden something this massive." White smiled. "The budget didn't. The world's black projects weren't just developing aircraft and weapon systems. We were preparing for this exact moment." He pressed another button, and the display zoomed in on Earth. Hidden installations began lighting up across the globe, beneath oceans, inside mountains, under the polar ice caps. "Everything they think they know about us is wrong," White continued. "Our public space program, a cover, our apparent technological limitations, all carefully crafted deception. For 50 years, we've been acquiring and developing technologies they can't imagine." General Thompson studied the displays with growing amazement. "These weapon systems, they're beyond anything in our official arsenals. Quantum shields, gravity weapons, time distortion fields." White nodded. "We reversed engineered some, invented others. The Council thinks they're dealing with a primitive species that barely managed to reach its own moon. They have no idea what they're walking into." A young lieutenant burst into the room. "Sirs, the alien fleet is moving. They're taking up attack positions." White's eyes hardened. "They won't wait 30 days. That was never their plan. They're attacking now because they think we're helpless." He straightened his uniform and looked around the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent my entire career preparing for this moment. Humanity has one advantage they never considered. We know how to keep secrets, even from ourselves. 99% of our own population doesn't know what we're truly capable of." He pressed a final button, and red lights began flashing throughout the complex. "Initiate Project Prometheus. Authorization code. Humanity strikes back." Around the world, hidden facilities hummed to life. Beneath the Pacific Ocean, massive doors opened in the seafloor. In the Antarctic ice, ancient weapons stirred from their slumber. And in orbit, cloaked satellites revealed their true nature. As the alien fleet began their approach, Admiral White allowed himself a small smile. They thought they were being clever, surrounding us while delivering their ultimatum. They never considered that we might have surrounded them first. He turned to the assembled leaders. Transmit to all hidden bases. Operation Vengeance is now active. Let's show the Council exactly what humanity can do when backed into a corner. The first shots of the war were about to be fired, and the Galactic Council was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. The alien fleet moved with perfect formation toward Earth, their massive ships blocking out the stars. On their command bridges, the Council commanders felt nothing but contempt for the primitive world they were about to conquer. Begin the first wave, Fleet Commander Dax ordered, his multiple appendages moving across the control panels. Target their major military installations. Show them the futility of resistance. Thousands of energy beams lanced out from the alien ships, streaking toward Earth's surface. The Council commanders watched with satisfaction, expecting to see explosions blooming across the planet. Instead, their weapons simply vanished. Impossible, Dax shouted, staring at his readings. Fire again. The second volley disappeared just like the first. Then, high above Earth, the air seemed to ripple. Massive structures appeared out of nowhere, dropping their cloaking fields. Orbital defense platforms, each larger than the alien ships themselves, had surrounded the invasion fleet. In the Pentagon Command Center, Admiral White nodded to his officers. Return fire. Earth's weapons activated. But these weren't the primitive missiles or lasers the Council expected. Waves of quantum disruption rolled out from the orbital platforms, tearing through the alien ship shields like they weren't even there. What is this? Dax screamed as his ship's systems began failing. Their technology. It's not possible. The quantum weapons didn't just destroy. They unraveled the very fabric of the alien vessels. Ships that had conquered 100 worlds began breaking apart at the molecular level. From his command post, White watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Launch the Harbinger swarms. Small doors opened on Earth's defense platforms, releasing clouds of what looked like metallic dust. The clouds surrounded the alien ships, revealing themselves to be millions of tiny robots. They burrowed into the alien hulls, turning their own technology against them. Send the message, White ordered. Every alien commander's screen lit up with a transmission. The image showed White, sitting calmly at his desk. Welcome to Earth, he said simply. You thought we were primitive. You thought we were weak. That was your first mistake. Here's your second lesson. We've been watching you for longer than you've been watching us. In the Council fleet, panic spread as ships began losing power. The Harbinger swarms had infected their systems, turning their own energy cores into weapons. Retreat, Dax ordered. Full withdrawal. But when the alien ships tried to activate their faster-than-light drives, nothing happened. They were trapped. Looking for these, White's voice came again, as holographic images appeared showing Earth's hidden installations. In them, rows of captured alien FTL cores sat quietly. We stole them from your supply lines months ago, replaced them with perfect copies that we knew would fail at just the right moment. The alien commanders watched in horror as their mighty fleet was systematically dismantled. Ships that had survived battles across the galaxy were being taken apart by technology they couldn't even understand. In orbit, the battle was becoming a rout. Earth's defensive platforms launched another weapon. Temporal disruption fields that trapped alien ships in bubbles of slowed time, making them easy targets. Send word to the Council, White commanded. Show them what's happening to their invasion fleet. The Galactic Council members, watching from their distant chamber, couldn't believe their eyes. Their unstoppable armada was being destroyed by a species they had dismissed as barely space-capable. One more thing, White added to his transmission. Those weapons you just saw, they're our old ones. The obsolete technology we were planning to retire. Would you like to see what we're currently working on? The remaining alien ships started pulling back in disarray, only to find themselves herded into killing zones by Earth's defense grid. The carefully planned invasion had turned into a complete disaster. In just 2 hours, the first wave of the Council's invasion force had been reduced to floating debris. Earth's orbital platforms hadn't suffered a single loss. Admiral White stood up from his command chair, looking at the tactical display showing the remnants of the alien fleet. "Signal all commands," he ordered. "Phase 1 is complete. Begin Phase 2, the counterstrike." Earth's hidden fleet emerged from its concealment behind the moon, engines powering up. The Council had wanted a war. Now they were going to get one, but not the kind they expected. Humanity's revenge was just beginning. Hidden beneath the lunar surface, Earth's true fleet revealed itself. Sleek warships, their hulls gleaming with advanced technology, rose from concealed hangars. Decades of secret preparation were about to pay off. Admiral White stood on the bridge of his flagship, the ETS Retribution. The massive vessel dwarfed anything the Council had sent against Earth. Around him, crews worked at stations that looked more advanced than even the Council's best technology. "All ships report ready," his second-in-command reported. "The wormhole drive is charged." White nodded. "Begin Operation Thunderbolt." Space itself tore open in front of the Earth fleet. The wormhole technology that humanity had kept hidden for so long created a massive portal, large enough for the entire fleet to pass through. "Set course for the Council's primary shipyards at Alpha Centauri," White ordered. "Let's show them what happens when they threaten Earth." The fleet accelerated into the portal, emerging light years away in seconds. The Council's shipyards floated before them, their defenses oriented toward conventional attack vectors. They never expected an enemy to appear directly in their midst. "They're scrambling their defense fleet," an officer reported. "Estimated response time, 3 minutes." White allowed himself a thin smile. "We'll be done in 2. Launch the time bombers." Small, dart-like ships shot from the Earth vessels. These were humanity's ultimate weapons, devices that could manipulate the flow of time itself. As they struck their targets, bubbles of accelerated time enveloped sections of the shipyards. Metal aged centuries in seconds, crumbling to dust. Council defenders watched in horror as their mighty industrial complex began literally aging to death around them. Their ships, supposedly the most advanced in the galaxy, looked primitive compared to Earth's forces. "Second wave. Commence attack," White commanded. "Target their quantum communication arrays. Cut them off from the Council." Earth ships moved with impossible precision, their crews enhanced by neural interfaces far beyond anything the Council had developed. Weapons that bent gravity and twisted space-time tore through alien defenses like paper. In the Council's central chamber, the alien leaders received fragmentary reports of the disaster. Their greatest shipyard, capable of building 1,000 warships, was being systematically destroyed by technology they couldn't even understand. "How?" one Council member demanded. "How did they hide this level of advancement?" The answer came in a transmission from White, broadcast across all Council frequencies. "We learned from history. Every time a more advanced civilization encountered a less advanced one on Earth, the results were devastating. So when we detected your scouts 50 years ago, we decided to learn from those lessons. We hid. We watched. We prepared." The shipyards were now completely destroyed. But White wasn't finished. He ordered his fleet into a new formation. "Begin Phase 2 of the attack. Target their fortress worlds." The Earth fleet split into 3 groups, each opening new wormholes. They emerged simultaneously at 3 heavily defended Council systems. The attacks were precisely coordinated, striking at the heart of the Council's military power. Council defenders found their weapons useless against Earth's quantum shields. Their faster-than-light drives failed when faced with humanity's space-time distortion fields. Everything they had believed about warfare was being proven wrong. In just 6 hours, humanity had destroyed more Council military assets than had been lost in the last 1,000 years of galactic conflict. White stood on his bridge, watching tactical displays show the systematic destruction of Council power. "Send the message to all Council worlds," he ordered. The transmission went out. "You threatened to destroy our world. Instead, we have shown you what real power looks like. But this is just the beginning. We're not just going to defeat you. We're going to dismantle the entire corrupt system you've built." He turned to his crew. "Set course for the Council's capital world. It's time for Phase 3. As the Earth fleet regrouped for its next attack, the Council faced a horrible realization. They hadn't found a primitive species to conquer. They had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. And humanity's revenge was far from complete. As Earth's fleet approached the Council's capital world, Admiral White prepared to reveal humanity's greatest secret. In his private quarters aboard the Retribution, he opened a secure channel to a hidden frequency. "They're ready," he spoke into the void. "It's time." Across the galaxy, ancient structures buried beneath the surfaces of countless worlds began to awaken. On desert planets, in ocean depths, and under mountain ranges, massive machines that had lain dormant for millennia hummed to life. The Council's sensors lit up with thousands of energy signatures. From the depths of gas giants and the hearts of asteroid fields, ships of impossible design emerged. Their hulls were made of living metal, flowing and shifting like liquid mercury. White's transmission reached every Council world. "Allow me to introduce you to the Guardians, the species you thought you drove to extinction 10,000 years ago. Humanity didn't just build our own defenses. We found allies." On the Council capital world, panic erupted as a massive ship materialized in orbit. It dwarfed even Earth's largest vessels, its surface rippling with patterns of light that defied physical laws. A new voice joined White's transmission. It spoke with the weight of eons. "We are the Guardians. When the Council tried to destroy us, we didn't die. We hid. We watched. We waited. Then we found humanity. Young, ambitious, but wise enough to learn from history's mistakes." In the Council chamber, the alien leaders faced their worst nightmare. The Guardians had been their greatest shame, a peaceful species they had tried to destroy out of fear of their advanced technology. For 50 years, White continued, humanity and the Guardians worked together. We built our defenses, we planted our weapons, and we seeded every Council world with dormant technology that you never detected. Across Council space, the ancient machines activated. Massive arrays rose from planetary crusts, their purpose becoming terrifyingly clear as they began to pulse with energy. These devices, the Guardian voice explained, are interdiction fields. From this moment, no Council ship can engage its faster-than-light drive. Your empire is now divided, isolated, powerless. The Council's mighty civilization, built on the ability to travel instantly between stars, was suddenly fragmented into thousands of isolated systems. White's voice returned. Each system is now surrounded by Guardian technology that predates your civilization by millions of years. Technology you can't understand, let alone defeat. On countless Council worlds, military commanders watched helplessly as their fleets were trapped in normal space, cut off from reinforcements or escape. This wasn't a hastily planned revenge, White explained. This was a strategy decades in the making. While you watched our primitive rockets and satellites, we were helping the Guardians plant these devices throughout your empire. The Guardian ship in orbit around the capital world began to pulse with blinding light. "We offer you one chance," the ancient voice declared. "Surrender. Dissolve the Council. Accept a new order, one built on justice and equality, not dominance and fear." In the Council chamber, the alien leaders faced a choice they never thought they'd have to make. Their invincible empire had been outmaneuvered by the very species they had dismissed as primitive, allied with a race they had failed to exterminate. "You have 1 hour to decide," White announced. "If you refuse, the Guardian devices will not just prevent faster-than-light travel. They will shut down every piece of advanced technology in your empire. Your civilization will be reduced to pre-industrial levels with the push of a button." The Council members looked at each other in growing horror. Everything they had built, all their power and technology, could be stripped away in an instant. Admiral White stood on his bridge, watching the Council capital through the viewscreen. Beside him, A guardian materialized, a being of pure energy and light. After all these years, the guardian said, "Justice will finally be served." White nodded. Humanity remembers its history. We know what happens to civilizations that grow too proud, too cruel. The Council thought they were the masters of the galaxy. Now they'll learn what real power looks like. The clock began counting down, and with it, the fate of the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known hung in the balance. The Galactic Council's unity shattered like glass under pressure. In their grand chamber, thousands of years of political alliances crumbled in minutes. "You assured us humans were primitive," shouted the representative of the trading worlds, pointing at the military coalition's leader. "Your intelligence reports were worthless." The chamber erupted into chaos as dozens of species turned on each other. Accusations flew across the room like weapons, each faction blaming others for their collective failure. Above them, the Guardian ship maintained its silent vigil, its presence a constant reminder of their powerlessness. Earth's fleet surrounded the planet, a noose slowly tightening around the Council's throat. Admiral White watched the scene through the advanced monitoring systems his ship shared with the Guardians. "Begin the information release," he ordered. "Show them what their leaders have been hiding." Across every Council world, communication systems activated without warning. Classified documents, secret recordings, and hidden financial records flooded the public networks. Decades of corruption, lies, and brutal suppression were exposed for all to see. "You said the mining colonies were voluntary," screamed one Council member, reading the documents on his screen. "These are slave camps." Another member rose from his seat, mandibles clicking in fury. "The medical aid we were supposed to send to the outer worlds, you sold it on the black market." In the Council's military command center, generals from different species turned on each other. "We lost an entire fleet because you withdrew your forces without warning," one accused. "Your ships fired on our position," another shot back. Admiral White's voice cut through their arguments, broadcasting across all frequencies. "Your empire wasn't built on strength. It was built on lies, manipulation, and the exploitation of those you considered beneath you." The Guardian ship pulsed with energy, and more revelations appeared on screens across Council space. Evidence of assassinations, engineered famines, and manufactured wars, all designed to keep the Council's power absolute. On thousands of worlds, the oppressed populations who had lived under Council rule for generations finally saw the truth. Rebellions sparked across the galaxy. Council military forces, already isolated by the Guardian technology, found themselves facing uprising from within their own ranks. "The Merchant Guild is withdrawing from the Council," announced one representative. "We will not be part of this corruption any longer." "The outer colonies declare independence," shouted another. One by one, the alliances that had held the Council together for millennia began to break. Species that had been enemies of humanity hours before now begged for Earth's protection. White turned to his tactical officer. "Show them the final proof." New documents appeared, revealing the Council's ultimate betrayal. They had been secretly weakening their own member species, ensuring none could ever grow strong enough to challenge their rule. In the Council chamber, the final threads of unity snapped. Physical fights broke out between representatives. Security forces chose sides, turning their weapons on each other. "Your time is up," White announced. "We don't need to destroy you. You've destroyed yourselves." The Guardian ship's voice echoed across space. "For 10,000 years, we watched you rule through fear and deception. Now your own people see you for what you are." Across the galaxy, Council military forces began surrendering to Earth's fleet. Others declared independence, turning against their former masters. The mighty empire that had threatened Earth was collapsing under the weight of its own corruption. In his flagship, Admiral White watched the chaos with grim satisfaction. "Humanity remembers its history," he said to no one in particular. "Every empire built on lies and fear eventually falls. The bigger they are, the harder they fall." The Guardian representative materialized beside him. "Phase 5 is complete. Their power structure is broken. Shall we proceed to the final phase? White nodded, looking at the council chamber where the once mighty leaders now flopped like animals. Yes, it's time to build something better from the ashes of their empire. He turned to his crew. Prepare for the final assault. The council dies today, but tomorrow we'll help build a galaxy worth living in. The revenge that humanity had planned for 50 years was almost complete, but the real challenge, building a better future, was just beginning. The council's grand chamber, once a symbol of absolute power, had become a battlefield. Emergency force fields flickered between warring factions as former allies turned their weapons on each other. Admiral White watched from the bridge of the Retribution as Earth's fleet moved into its final attack position. Begin landing operations, he commanded. Take the chamber intact if possible. We want them to face justice, not martyrdom. Earth's dropships descended through the atmosphere, their advanced stealth systems making them invisible to the panicked Council defenses. Inside, elite troops readied their weapons, not the primitive firearms the Council expected, but weapons that could disable without killing. Remember, White's voice came through their neural links. We're not here for revenge anymore. We're here to build a better future. The first dropships landed on the massive dome of the council chamber. Troops rappelled down the sides, their armor allowing them to walk straight down the vertical surfaces. Council guards fired desperately, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the quantum-shifted armor. Inside the chamber, the council members heard the sounds of combat growing closer. Their personal shields, once thought impenetrable, failed against Earth's technology. The Guardian ship above them had neutralized every defense system they possessed. Seal the inner chamber, ordered the High Counselor. We still have the Deadman switch. If we die, every Council world's defense grid will activate. White's voice filled the chamber. You mean these defense grids? Holographic displays appeared, showing Council weapon systems across the galaxy being systematically disabled by Guardian technology. Did you think we spent 50 years preparing and missed your failsafe? White asked. The Guardians found and neutralized your Deadman switch decades ago. The chamber's main doors exploded inward. Earth troops moved in precise formation, their weapons firing pulses that dropped Council guards without killing them. Years of training and preparation showed in every movement. High Counselor Reed grabbed a ceremonial weapon from the wall. You'll never take us alive, he shouted, but his voice shook with fear. A single figure walked through the smoke of battle. Admiral White, his uniform pristine, entered the council chamber. Behind him, Guardian energy beings floated like avenging spirits. It's over, White said simply. Your empire is finished. Your weapons are useless. Your people have turned against you. All that's left is for you to answer for your crimes. Reed fired his weapon. The blast passed harmlessly through White's quantum shield. In response, White raised his hand, revealing a small device. A pulse of energy dropped Reed to his knees. That's another thing we learned from history, White said, walking to the council's central platform. True power isn't about having the biggest weapons. It's about knowing when not to use them. Earth troops secured the chamber, disarming and restraining the council members. Some fought, some surrendered, some tried to bargain. None escaped. White stood at the council's podium, the same place where they had issued their ultimatum to Earth just days ago. He pressed a button, and his image was broadcast to every world in council space. People of the galaxy, he began, the Galactic Council is no more. Their reign of corruption and fear is over. But this isn't a conquest. It's a liberation. He gestured to the Guardian beings floating beside him. With the help of the Guardians, humanity will oversee a transition to a new form of government, one based on cooperation, not domination, on justice, not power. The former council members were led away in restraints, their once magnificent robes now torn and dirty. Centuries of absolute power had ended in less than a week. The hard work begins now, White said to his troops. Winning a war is easy compared to building peace. A Guardian representative materialized next to him. You've done well. Now comes the true test, proving that humanity can lead better than those who came before. White nodded, looking around the ancient chamber that had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. We remember our history, he said. All the mistakes, all the failures, all the lessons learned in blood. This time, we'll do better. Outside, the sun was rising on the Council capital world. It was the dawn of a new era in galactic history, and humanity would lead the way. 1 year after the Council's fall, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in the reformed chamber. The old symbols of Council power had been replaced with new ones representing unity and cooperation. Where once there were thrones for Council leaders, now there were equal seats for all species. Admiral White, now serving as Earth's representative to the newly formed Galactic Alliance, stood at the podium. Age had added more silver to his hair, but his eyes remained sharp and clear. 1 year ago, he began, addressing the assembled delegates. We ended an empire built on fear. Today, we continue building something better. The chamber had been transformed. Guardian technology now allowed instant translation between all species, eliminating the language barriers that the Council had used to maintain control. Representatives from formerly oppressed worlds sat alongside those from Earth and other major powers. The transition hasn't been easy, White continued. Change never is. But look at what we've accomplished in just 1 year. Holographic displays showed the progress. Former slave worlds now free and rebuilding. Trade routes open to all species, technological advances being shared instead of hoarded. The Guardian ships, once hidden, now openly patrolled space as peacekeepers rather than conquerors. In the outer regions, where Council corruption had caused the most suffering, Earth's medical ships brought aid and technology. Humanity's doctors worked alongside alien healers, sharing knowledge that the Council had restricted for centuries. We remember being isolated on our own world, White said. We remember looking up at the stars and dreaming of something better. That's why Earth refuses to become what the Council was. The former Council leaders, now serving their sentences in rehabilitation centers, watched the broadcasts from their cells. They saw their empire of fear being transformed into something they had never imagined possible, a true alliance of equals. A Guardian representative materialized beside White. Tell them about the Advancement Initiative, it suggested. White nodded. Today, we're launching a new program. Every world, no matter how small or remote, will receive access to advanced technology and education. The days of artificial restrictions on progress are over. The chamber erupted in applause. Species that had been enemies for generations now worked together, united by a common purpose. But we face challenges, White continued. There are those who want to return to the old ways, who think that power should belong to the few, not the many. They call themselves the Council Loyalists, and they're growing. Images appeared of recent attacks on Alliance facilities. The transition to peace hadn't been without resistance. Let them come, White declared. Humanity remembers its history. We know that progress isn't easy. We know there will always be those who fear change. But we also know that the future belongs to those who work together. He gestured to the Earth ships visible through the chamber's transparent dome. They patrolled alongside vessels from 100 other worlds, all working together to maintain peace. The Council thought they could crush us, White said. Instead, they taught us the most important lesson of all. True strength comes from unity, not dominance. The Guardian representative addressed the chamber. 10,000 years ago, we faced the same choice you face today. We chose to hide. Humanity chose to fight, not just with weapons, but with hope for a better future. That's why they succeeded where we failed. As the session ended, White walked through the chamber, speaking with representatives from different worlds. The feared admiral who had brought down an empire was now a builder of bridges between species. Was it worth it? A young Earth diplomat asked him. All those years of preparation, pretending to be primitive, building in secret. White looked out at the stars. Not just Earth's stars now, but humanity's home galaxy. Ask the freed slaves if it was worth it. Ask the worlds that can now trade freely, learn freely, grow freely. We didn't just get revenge on the Council. We made sure they could never harm anyone again. The Guardian materialized one last time. And what of the future, Admiral? White smiled, watching ships from 100 worlds moving peacefully through space. The future is what we make it, together. Above the chamber, Earth's sun set on another day in the new galaxy. A galaxy where humanity had proved that the greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in transforming them into friends.